Greetings from Act Now. I have made many videos, numerous videos, let's just narrow it down to numerous, regarding becoming aware of one's motives, one's goals, one's reasons for ever wanting to engage in something like getting control over one's attention or personal evolution, one's reasons for wanting to get involved in a personal evolution training program or any such thing. A regime of self-mastery, a systematic, methodical program of training along these lines. Getting familiar with the reasons for it, the motives, goals, expectations from it, desires regarding it, and so on. I have also made many videos referring to attention. Attention. Now, I am uncertain to date, this date, whether much of what I have said along these lines has really made any impact upon my listeners. I know that it has for a few, but the rest I don't know because they haven't said anything. Therefore, I feel an obligation to do further clarification whenever such clarification pops up in my mind. Right now is one such time. Therefore, I want to throw out a few notes for you along the same lines as I've thrown out before, except this time with different words. And you know what? Sometimes it takes a lot of repetition for something to actually click in, and sometimes it just takes the right combination of words for it to click in. Even the first time, it could still do so with the right combination of words for you right now. Okay, listen. First of all, when I speak about attention control, I sometimes put it in the context of attention control involves the ability to focus one's mind on some specific thing to the exclusion of all other things. Now, I have run into people, not you because I have not met you, but I have run into other people, ones who I have met, who have said to me, I do not need any assistance or training or work or practice with attention control because my attention is well under my control. I'm pretty good at that. I'm pretty darn good at it. As a matter of fact, I make a living. I make money. Therefore, I must be doing something right. And while this person is telling me this, I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if you're actually mentally attending to this conversation. And I'm telling you the truth here, folks. I have had such people the next day, and I'm telling you the truth here. This is literally true. Literally true. No, there's only one kind of truth. This is true. The next day, come up to me and ask me a question, the answer to which was in that conversation we had yesterday. Which tells me that person was not paying attention to what was going on in that conversation, even enough to remember that that conversation took place, let alone what was said in it. Because when I then say something like, do you remember we just talked about this yesterday? They say, no. What does this say about that person's attention? Yesterday, right while they were telling me they have no difficulty getting their attention to focus on anything. Huh? Huh? Woo! Boom! Listen, one time I asked a person, to do something that I give here, that I give in my training as a preparatory exercise. Before that person and I even decide, yeah, I think maybe you may be ready in your life to engage in a full-blown regimented training program of personal evolution. Before we even reach that decision, one of the methods that I have of determining whether, or helping that person determine whether they are able to participate in such a program, is I want that person to lay down, get relaxed physically, and then do a little mental exercise that involves 15 minutes, 7 days in a row, 15 minutes each day, observing what takes place in their mind, what takes place with their mental content, and answer a few questions about what they have observed at the end of each 15 minutes. Once again, that's 15 minutes taking place 7 days in a row. Therefore, this 15 minutes will have taken place 7 times by the time we talk about this again. And I want one of these questions answered. One of the 3 questions that I have that person answer every day, each of those 7 times, is, can you give an approximate for me, please, how many thoughts pass through your mind within any of those 15-minute periods? One person told me after 7 of these 15-minute periods, that during that entire week, one thought and one thought only had been in that person's mind. There had been only one thought. I was shocked. Because this tells me that that person did not need my help whatsoever. This tells me that that person had reached such a state already in life without any formal training along these lines, such a state of mental discipline and mental control over the content of their minds, that there was no thought anywhere in their mind for even a microsecond during 17 consecutive 15-minute intervals of time other than one thought only. I would like to achieve that state of mind. I would like to achieve that state of self-mastery. That, to me, is the epitome of mental discipline, of attention control, of pure concentration. I was envious of that person for about a microsecond. And then I realized that that person had no clue what in the world I was talking about. Had no clue what was really going on in their own mind. Had no clue that anything had taken place mentally at all. One thought. It would be extremely difficult for me to believe that 7 thoughts had happened, one for each 15-minute duration. Much harder, well, even more impossible, if that's a phrase, to believe that each of these 7 times there was still that same thought from the 15-minute period the day before, that hadn't changed, that the whole week there was one thought only during these 15 minutes. One thought. That the sound of traffic outside had not come to their awareness whatsoever, even for a second during these times. That no thought like, am I doing this right, had entered. No thoughts other than one. And when I asked what that one thought was, the person could not tell me. I talked to that person again recently. And I said, could it have been the case during this one thought that you had about 1,000,000 thoughts going on, and that they were so blurred together that you could not single any one of them out, and that therefore what was really going on in your head was something like this: a constant roar of confused thoughts such that they all seemed like one. Because they weren't distinguishable, because there were too many. And the person said, yeah, that was it. That's it. That's it. That's what was happening. Yes, of course, that's what was happening. But you know what? It took me 6 months to figure out how to ask that question to that person, for it to click in, for that person to be able to say, yeah, there were too many thoughts. Because they couldn't articulate it. They couldn't even recognize it until it was articulated to them in a certain way. And I just gave you that way, which is why I'm now making this video, in case I had never put it this way to you before. Well, now I am. Attention. Attention. Actual control over attention is something that you might think you are really good at, when in fact you suck at it. In fact, you probably do suck at it. Why? Because nearly everybody totally sucks at it unless they have gone through a rigorous, systematic, methodical training program that someone else has guided them through. Now, why do I have a person actually start out in my training program with becoming extremely close-up familiar with their actual motives for, excuse me, got a lot of noise going on here. What the heck? Get out of here. Wait, oh, hey. There, all right. Hey, my keyboard was going fluky on me there. All right. Why would I actually have somebody become extremely familiar with their reasons for going through something like attention training? Huh? Why? Oh, and then, and not only that, right, but then once they have become very familiar with them and put them on paper and put them through a whole rigorous process of development and evolvement and so forth, corresponding with a process going on deep inside the person himself, why would I then use that list as an object of attention training? Why would I say then, mentally and visually review these things you have now put in writing? And by the way, don't do this at home without going through the actual instruction how to do it. This is not the instruction of how to do it. It doesn't even come close. I'm just making implications here, references to it, okay? But why? Why would I have somebody then use the result, their written result, as an attention training tool? Plus much more. But why would I also remind them to go about what I'm having them go about them do with this list of stuff they've come up with, these reasons for attention training, okay? Why would I have them go about it with it in mind that this is an attention training tool among the other things that it's doing, or that I'm having them do it now for? Why would I do that? Because I'm trying to get them to, I'm trying to teach them some attention training. And this is not even an attention training tool yet. I'm telling them to go about it as if it were, because they will need to get some familiarity with how it works before going on to actual concentration techniques, which would come later. But these things have to be built up slowly. One little skill added to the ones before, in a sequence, in a logical sequence, in an orderly manner, with a certain rhythm of development to it all. Well, all in accordance with how things really work when they really work, right? Right. Okay. What better thing to start off some level of attention training with as its object, as an object of some rudimentary level of attention training anyway, than a person's reasons for engaging in something like attention training. There's a little bit of a snowball effect that will happen from doing that. If you just give the idea here a little bit of attention, you'll be able to figure that out. Now, one more thing that I want to clarify here in yet another way, folks, friends, is this. When I refer to attention, placing attention on something, perhaps some words like what I'm saying here, like focus your attention on what I'm saying, or better yet, something I have written to you if you are one of my clients, students, compadres in life, whatever you want to call it. By email, that is, sent to you by email, okay? And I say, or you have followed some of my instruction and actually done some writing where I have said, write this down if you are at least pretending to be one of my clients or students here by way of video instruction, well, then you'll have some written result in front of you. Okay, whether it's my words that I'm saying, my words that I've written to you, or your words that you have written. Okay, when I say focus your attention, and I mean actually do it, as in act now, your actual mental focus on the words. What about the words? Their meanings. What about their meanings? The feelings of the meanings. What about the feelings of the meanings? The way those meanings cause your energy to change a little bit when you are considering their meanings. When I say that, let me tell you a little bit more about what I actually mean for you to do. What I actually mean for you to do is to, well, it's hard to say this more clearly. It means to actually do it. But I will try to explain just a little bit more clearly. Because I know that many people do not even know what that means, no matter how well it is clarified. And I have gone on and clarified it in other ways here, in other places, even in my other channel. Listen. When we were back in kindergarten, and Mrs. Schwartz, or whatever her name was, the kindergarten teacher, said, "Now class, children, I want everybody's attention. Can you all give me your attention? Do I have your attention?" And all the little chillins say, "Yes, Mrs. Schwartz." And all their eager little faces are pointing toward Mrs. Schwartz. And Mrs. Schwartz says, "Okay, good. Now that I have your attention, I want everyone to get out their chocolate milk." And everybody gets out their chocolate milk. Now, what Mrs. Schwartz has just implied is that they all know what attention means. Because when they said, "Yes, Mrs. Schwartz," well, Mrs. Schwartz said, "Good. I now have your attention." That's good. Now, it might be true. Mrs. Schwartz had their attention right then. Especially if she's been doing this every day right around chocolate milk time. Because she is appealing to their interests. Well, interest is a necessary requirement for attention. But that's not my point here. My point is a different one. Children, having never really been taught what attention control really is like? Regardless of how much they are actually giving Miss Schwartz their attention at the time she asks for it and then says, good, you've now done it. They may come to get the wrong idea about exactly what all goes into bona fide, actual, no horse feathers, no hocus pocus, no mamby-pamby, no playground for little girls, control over attention. Do you get my drift? And as life goes on for these little chillins as they grow up into big chillins called adults, there is much more distracting their attention in their heads. But they don't know that has happened. They don't know that encroaching distraction level and constancy and quantity going on throughout their years, such that they think they're still giving that same attention they gave to Mrs. Schwartz when she said, get out your chocolate milk. And even back then, they didn't really know what control over attention was. And now their ability to do so is worse. And they still don't know any more about it either. So you end up with people saying, I don't need attention control training, and then the next day asking you a question that was answered in that conversation the day before. And they had no clue that conversation even took place. So when I say something like, get out your list of motives, or pay close attention to the words in this email, or listen to the words I'm saying and pay close attention to their meanings to the point of feeling them. And you say, okay. And then you proceed to do what it is you think I mean. Well, then you see, it doesn't matter how many times I say, and I mean actually do it. Well, you don't do it. Because you have no clue what the hell I'm talking about. You don't know how to do it. I might even tell you how to do it. I might say, keep honing in on the object of the intention, the intended object of your attention. Just keep honing in whenever intruding thoughts come in. Hone back in. That's the secret. And you go, okay. And then you proceed to do what you think there is to do that. Think there is. Do. Believe. You're actually maybe doing a little. Think of. Might mean. And so on. But you're giving it no more attention than if I hadn't said anything about it. Listen. Here's what it's like. Here's what it's like. Let's say I give you something to look at. Well, let's say I give myself something to look at. Here, I'll show you. You see that? You see that circle on that piece of paper? Okay, look. Let's say I'm you. Okay? I'm you. And I'm told, focus your visual gaze on that circle. Okay? And I'm not real good at that. But I give it a try. I actually give it a whirl. And I look at it. Now watch. I look at it. Like, hey, act now, dude. Focus your visual gaze on that circle. Okay. Whoa. I wasn't focused on it there. I lost track. I was starting to think about the white background. My eyes kind of drifted out of focus. Whoa. Whoa, that's a little hard to do. Whoa. Oh, man. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. The circle. The circle. Yeah, the circle. Right there it is. Whoa. Whoa. Damn. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me get up there. Oh. I got distracted. Whoa. You see, that's the kind of effort I'm talking about. And that's how hard it is. I'm talking about mental focus. It's harder than even what I have tried to demonstrate about just something as simple as visual gaze. Mental focus is much more difficult. So when I say, focus on what I'm saying here, listen to what I'm saying. Mentally attend to what I'm saying. Use this as an attention training tool, in fact, here in this video. And you say, okay. And then you sit there and you kind of listen. And you realize that you can't remember what I said 2 minutes ago. Or it's all kind of been a blur. Then ask yourself, hey, whoa! Was I really doing like he demonstrated about his visual gaze here, about this little circle in this piece of paper, with my mind? Was I really zooming in and focusing to the best of my ability, or was I faking it? Was I really doing it? Or was I just acting in the aftermath of my ignorance about it in the first place? That got established and put into place back in Mrs. Schwartz's kindergarten class. Overwritten and overwritten and overwritten by further and further distracting tendencies throughout my life ever since. When I say attention, I mean attention. I don't mean hocus pocus. I don't mean mamby-pamby. This ain't no playground for little girls. And if you are somebody who has gone and spent money on something like a little program, a little weekend retreat perhaps, a little seminar, a workshop, a correspondence course, something that has to do with self-improvement, self-development, personal involvement, some kind of awaken your chi, awaken this, awaken that, awaken this program of advice, of spiritual guidance, of self-mastery, of what the hell ever that tells you to do something like get out a piece of paper, get out a piece of paper and write down what you want. Write down what you want. Write down your ideal self in statements on a piece of paper and make sure they are affirmative. I am a good person. I am a good man. I am a good man. Number two, that was number one. Number two, I want a new car. I want a new car so that I can drive away. I want a new car. A new car. And I'm a good man. And then put that on your bathroom mirror so that in the morning you can look at that and you can say these things to yourself. You can see them. You can give them attention while you are combing your hair. While you are combing your hair in the morning. You can do this, multitask do it, while you are combing your hair. You can also give a little attention to this that's written there every day. Because you can't really give it time to focus on it very much because you have to do it while you're combing your hair because you're on the run. You're a busy person, but this will help you because you paid money for it to help you. And then you realize that you didn't get a new car. But maybe you don't feel like such a good man after all. And then you realize after you listen to this video that that instruction you paid for didn't say jack squat about attention control over anything you wrote. Matter of fact, it had you looking at this stuff while you were combing your hair. And you paid money for that? Yeah, well, send me some money. Or don't. Just pay attention to what I said. And if you just now realized that there were a lot of other thoughts coming in and out of your mind, like whether or not you need to comb your hair right now, maybe go back and listen to this video again and actually pay attention. Not because there's anything really spectacular about the content of this video, but perhaps because you could use some attention training. And why not do it with this video? It's as good as the next thing. Have a good day. Be well. Act now.